We're live.
Good morning. This is a voting session of the House Judiciary Committee. It is sine die, the 11th of April, 2022. We have a number of concurrences that we're going to start with here, and then we're going to move to a couple bills that are mostly cross files. I think there are a couple cross files of Senate bills that we'll be dealing with here this morning. So with that, the Safe Harbor Bill, this is House Bill 833. I've spoken to the sponsor, Delegate Learman. Allegedly, well, I haven't seen anything new, and I think at this point, would just ask the committee please not to concur in the Senate amendments that they have made. They've changed it from changed it basically to an affirmative defense from, I guess, the vacatur. That is not something that Delegate Learman was happy with. And so at least for right now, we would move not to concur and suggest the Senate recede from their amendments.
Move not to concur.
There's a motion not to concur. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Is there discussion on the motion not to concur? All right. All those in favor of the motion not to concur, please raise your hands. Cardin, Bartlett, Moon, Shetty, Crutchfield, Cham, Davis, Lopez, Howell, Anderson, Williams, Jones, Tolles. Anybody opposed to the motion not to concur? Arakan. Just watching. All right. And McComas. All right. The motion, and Cox, the motion not to concur is adopted. The committee is not going to be appointing a conference committee on that legislation. We have now, there's a bill, Senate Bill 704. It has to do with pretrial release. As we passed the legislation, we removed members of the electronic home monitoring industry from the work group. The Senate's bill had two members of the electronic home monitoring industry who are members of the work group and voting members of the work group. I believe there's a possibility for some degree of compromise here as the day goes on. And so to that end, it's my understanding that the Senate's going to be appointing a conference committee. For what it's worth, I wonder if, I believe there may be ethical issues related to a member of a company who wanted to get a contract in the future, serving on a work group to determine how or whether funding should be allocated. But if they wanted to be on this work group that badly, I guess then they wouldn't be able to bid on the contracts that came down the line. But what do I know? So we're going to do a conference committee and we'll see what happens there. So I'd ask for a motion not to recede.
Move not to recede.
Second.
All right. We would appoint 3 House members for a conference committee. They would be Moon, Williams, and Shoemaker. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Second.
A second. All right. All those in favor of the motion not to recede, please raise your hands. Delegates Cardin, Bartlett, Moon, Shetty, Arakan, Crutchfield, Cham, Davis, McComas, Anderson, Grammer, Cox, Lopez, Howell. Anybody opposed to the motion not to recede? Seeing none, we have moved not to recede, and that'll go to the floor here momentarily. All right. Now, Delegate Moon has a bill, the Vice Chair, House Bill 1062. Think of the puppies, we should all shout, as this is his costs for care bill. Delegate, Mr. Vice Chair, would you tell the committee what the amendments the Senate did, what they do?
Sure. These are amendments from the Horse Council and Washington County, and they shift the burden onto the seizing agents, the humane agency, in cases where the animals might be livestock, even though livestock is excluded from the main scope of the bill. It also allows the judge to consider other factors when looking at the costs, so that, and I assume that's to get a downward adjustment. So it opens the door for that. And it requires that information is provided to the owners of the animals on exactly how they would go about challenging the seizure and how to request a return. They came out unanimous with this stuff.
All right. Mr. Vice Chair, are you comfortable with the changes from the Senate?
Yeah, let's do it.
You have a motion to concur?
Move to concur.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the amendments that appear to have got everybody on the same page? All right. All those in favor of the motion to concur, please raise your hands. That's Delegates Cardin, Bartlett, Moon, Shetty, Erican, Crutchfield, Cham, Davis, McComas, Anderson, Grammer, Cox, Lopez, Howell, Williams. Anybody, Rachel Jones, and Tolles as well. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion to concur is adopted, and that will go to the floor. All right. Have Bill, this is Delegate Robin Lewis, House Bill 785. This was a bill that established a jobs court program in Baltimore City. The judiciary has requested, this is basically an accounting, I don't know if it's maneuver, but it's certainly an accounting fix. The judiciary was able to save about $12 million in funding in one part of their budget because of COVID closures. They would like to move that money to remedy a structural deficit in the Lands Records Fund. Some of us who have been here before, they came before the committee previous years, and they'd asked for increases in fees and whatever. They believe that they, instead of doing that, increasing fees, could just move this one money from savings over to the Land Records Fund and just deal with the structural deficit. The Land Records Fund is also the home to MDEC and has been paying for its completion across the state. So by concurring, and I would ask for a motion to concur, by concurring here, we resolve that long-term structural deficit within the Land Records Fund and keep this bill moving along. Are there questions? Could I have a motion, please, to concur? And I see you, Dan. Delegate Cox. Can I have a motion to concur, please?
Move to concur.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Delegate Cox first, and then Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, what phase are we in with the courts under COVID, since this is COVID relief money being used? And are the jury trials reopened? Because the last I had heard, they're not reopened yet.
No, the courts are open. We have had jury trials up since mid-March. They request that people, if you're not vaccinated, they request people wear masks, but everything's back up and running again.
And I know there's
going to court last Friday.
I know there's a backlog, and so some of these cases are 2 years out. And so is that going to create a continued burden where they're going to shift COVID money where they could possibly use that to speed up the backlog?
I think the only way that you could speed up a backlog of that kind is if you want to hire a whole lot more judges, which I'm not sure that we can do for $12 million. And I'm not sure that I think that would hire not that many across the state. But having said that, I mean, I guess, but I think that I know, at least from my experience in Anne Arundel County, they've been catching up. In Baltimore City, they seem to have plans where things have been catching up, and at least on the criminal side have been resolving. The civil side is where there is still a delay, but at least the courthouses are open and moving again. So there's that.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Delegate Grammer, then Cardin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not opposed to the amendment, but for my information, didn't we actually raise these fees several years ago?
We voted to, the Senate didn't pass it.
10-4, thank you.
I believe that's correct. And if I'm wrong, somebody will correct me from council, but I believe we did it, they didn't. And so we're still sort of in this problem. Delegate Carden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just to respond to Delegate Cox's, this isn't COVID money that came in. This is money savings because of the way the court has become more efficient through COVID policies. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, this is basically savings. I mean, when the courthouses weren't open, they had a range of different savings that they were able to make, whether it was, in some cases, the buildings were not open. So there were some actual savings for heating and cooling. There were some cost savings, I think, that they incurred from that and across the entire system. Again, I believe this is coming out of the district court too. So it's mostly out of district court money, but there you go.
I guess my point was that this is not like federal COVID relief money. This is savings coincidentally because of COVID, and therefore shifting it's not necessarily a one-time pay-go. It's because they have created efficiencies, it actually could be a budgetary item, ongoing budgetary item.
Yeah. So
I think it's a good idea.
At least with this money, it will resolve another problem and getting us through MDEC and once and for all. All right. There was a motion and a second to concur with the Senate amendments. All in favor of the Senate amendments, please raise your hands. Delegates Shetty, Moon, Bartlett, Carden, Davis, Grammer, Cox, Anderson, Williams, Howell, Lopez, Crutchfield, Jones, Tolles. Looking for anybody else. Fisher, I see you now. All right. And Cham. Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? Seeing no one opposed, motion to concur is adopted, and that'll go to the floor. Now, we have a couple pieces of legislation that are still outstanding here. We'll go to Senate Bill 377. This is Senate Bill 377. This is requires an amendment, I believe. Lauren, this conforms the Senate bill to what we passed? Is that correct? This is the Del Castro bill, right?
I'm sorry, what was the bill number?
377. Senate Bill 377. So the amendment would conform 377 to the House bill, which I believe they are ready to conform with, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember.
Yes, they passed the House bill with the amendment that was adopted.
Okay. Oh, okay. So this is just we win. Okay, great. There's a motion to adopt the amendment. Is there a second and a second? All in favor of the amendment, please raise your hands. Delegates Carden, Bartlett, Moon, Cham, Davis, McComas, Shetty, Tolles, Jones, McComas, Erican, Williams, Fisher, Crutchfield, Lopez, Anderson. I think that's all the ones. I think I saw McComas and Howell. There we go. McComas and Howell. Anybody opposed? Seeing nobody opposed, the amendments are adopted. Can we have a motion for favorable?
Move favorable.
Motion for a favorable and a second. All right. Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? I think Delegate Tolles left her hand up from a little bit ago. Unless Delegate Tolles, do you have a question?
No, Mr. Chair, sorry.
All right, that's all right. Seeing no further discussion, the Vice Chair.
Yes.
Shoemaker is excused. Anderson.
Yes.
Erican.
Yes.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Carden.
Yes.
Conaway is excused. Cox.
Yes.
Crutchfield.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Juanica Fisher.
Yes.
Grammer.
No.
Howell.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
McComas.
Yes.
Munoz.
Yes.
Shetty.
Yes.
Cham.
Yes.
Tolles.
Sorry, I couldn't get to the unmute. Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
All right. 18, that's adopted. Okay. Where are we? Senate Bill 851. This is really a Baltimore City administration bill that Senator Carter put in. We heard this bill earlier, and it's requested, it would authorize certain law enforcement agencies to request the username and password of employees or applicants for the purposes of reviewing their social media accounts. The legislation, I believe
Don't sound right.
this is not a local bill. This is a statewide bill. And let me make sure I'm not getting that wrong. Claire, is that correct?
That's correct.
And I think the purpose of the bill was related to, at least in the city, was related to the consent decree. It just authorizes them to do it. And I think it's part of the consent decree. Is that correct? I'm reading the city. Actually, I'll just read from the city. The city delegation's letter of support indicates that it is part of their selection process, and they believe it's helpful in following the federal consent decree. But let's do this. Let's get a motion, and then I see Delegate Eric and
Favorable.
take your question. There's a motion for a favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Delegate Eric, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So before the hiring process begins, or in the hiring process, they're going to ask for people to relinquish their usernames and passwords for social media accounts so that they can peruse the private messaging of their applicants. Is that the goal?
The testimony that I remember from the city delegation is and I'll read directly from Mayor Scott's letter. Social media is an honest portrayal of an individual's thoughts on a diversity of subjects protected by free speech and First Amendment rights. The powers of law enforcement, including the power to detain and even in certain circumstances use deadly force, must be weighed against an officer's or potential officer's implicit and explicit biases, which can be expressed on social media. The selection of new police officers plays a key role in the Baltimore Police Department achieving its short and long-term goals, following the federal consent decree, restoring community trust, and constitutionally enforcing the laws of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. I'm looking at who
It's different though than the public post. I mean, if you're giving up your username and password, you're allowing your potential employer to look at your private messages. That is, I mean, if that's something that this body thinks is a good idea, I'm shocked, because that seems totally insane to me. And I can't be the only person on this call that thinks that's crazy.
Delegate Grammer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to reinforce the comments of Delegate Aricon. I'm surprised that anyone actually sponsored this bill. Isn't there a good person in this world who may be a text message on Twitter out of frustration voiced a particular comment to their friend that said, wow, did you see this news article? This is complete garbage. And you're going to essentially disqualify tons and tons of probably good people because they're not going to cough up their social media information when applying to work in government. I mean, this bill is ridiculous. This bill is absolutely insane. It's just bad government, and it's going to be a disincentive for people to apply to work in state government.
Delegate Cardin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can somebody help me who might be a little bit more savvy with social media? Right now, if you want to glean somebody's information on social media, you can do that. You can, like I could go to your Instagram or your Facebook or your Twitter or your TikTok, and I could see everything. But what I can't see is what can I see without your password?
If I direct message you on Twitter, the public cannot see that. So if I tweet you publicly, any person can see that. If I direct message you on Twitter, the public cannot see that.
Okay, so so what this is doing is allowing them to see basically private conversations between two people. Is that what you're suggesting, Delegate Grammer?
Yes, essentially, absolutely.
All right. And if, okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair.
if you don't mind, can I use my hold on this? I just want to kick this around the curb a couple times, and we have some other bills I've been working on that are waiting to be discussed.
That's fine. We will be back later this afternoon, so we'll put that one on the side. Let's go to that bill. Senate Bill 26.
Mr. Chair,
Delegate Cox.
I apologize. I think I made a mistake on SB 377. I need to be recorded in the.
I seem to remember that you voted a different way previously. If other friends of the minority party suddenly take another look and realize that they may have voted a different way on Senate Bill 377, let me know here in a minute. We'll take care of that.
Thank you.
All right, Senate Bill 26. I was saying on the House cross file, Senate Bill 26 as drafted. Yeah, okay, I'm not even really sure. But Delegate Moon has something he'd like to talk about with regard to Senate Bill 26. So the Vice Chair, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 26 came in as a fairly unusual technical change to a automatic expungement bill we previously passed. And the reason for it was something I was unaware of, which Senator Waldstreicher flagged, which is that I guess the arrangement of words in that law we passed led one of the private case companies, Westlaw or Lexis or whatever, to, he believed, improperly caption it in the informal text that they applied on their database. So this just clarifies, it doesn't change the substance of what we did, but it clarifies that in attempts to get around the confusion they had. So it's not a major bill, but it's not cross-filed, and it's a criminal procedure technical correction. And so we have one of those that we sent over, a criminal procedure technical correction in the form of Delegate Terrasa's bill that you might remember, also not cross-filed. And so I have an amendment to put the two criminal procedure technical corrections together and send it back and get it done in one fell swoop. And the other one, to refresh your memory, was regarding confusion about whether a expert witness needed the approval of the Department of Health to testify at trial. And the clarification simply says that if they're not handling the evidence, they do not. And if they are, they do. So two technical corrections, one bill. I move my amendment.
Second.
Motion and a second on the amendment. All right, we'll do discussion now on the amendment because it would be amending Delegate Terrasa's bill onto this bill from Senator Waldstreicher. And before I go to Delegate McComas, I see you there. Just to be clear, this is the bill is in the form in which we passed it out of the House, correct? The Terrasa bill?
Correct. The
All right.
third reader version that's been signed off on by the state's attorneys, the public defenders. It was not controversial. So that, again, we're not trying to do something sneaky here. It's two uncontroversial technical corrections.
All right, Delegate McComas.
Just for me, so I can look it up. What is the HB bill number? Delegate Terrasa's bill. I just want to look it up.
One moment, please.
One moment, please.
It was House Bill 863.
Okay, thank you.
And as we all rush to see what happened on House Bill 863, are there further questions?
It was 127-3 on the floor.
Okay. Further questions regarding the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, please raise your hands. Delegates Cardin, Bartlett, Moon, Shetty, Davis, Cham, Williams, Shoemaker, Lopez, Anderson, Crutchfield, Cox, Fisher, Howell, Jones, and McComas. Anyone opposed? No one opposed. All right, the amendment is adopted.
Move favorable.
There's a motion for
Second.
favorable and a second. Any further discussion on the new Senate Bill 26? Seeing none, the vice chair,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cardin,
Yes.
Cox,
No.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis. Yes, okay. Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
No.
Howell. Howell. Uh-oh. Yes, I see yes. All right. Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
All right. 17, the bill is adopted. All right, the last one we're going to do is Senate Bill 134. Don't believe this was cross-filed. Is this Holly? No, it's not. It's Claire. Claire, can you give us an overview about what the bill does? Actually, I might get there first. I think it just adds training regarding, I'll read from the bill, regarding the criminal laws concerning stalking as they pertain to electronic surveillance or tracking, including services available to victims, related prevention methods for victims, and how victims may request additional assistance to identify and preserve digital evidence.
Move the bill.
Is a motion for the
Second.
bills and a second. Any discussion about how Senate Bill 134?
Mr. Chair,
Delegate Shoemaker.
thank you. So can you give us that synopsis as to what this thing does again, please?
So it requires the MPTSC, the Police Training and Standards Commission, to require for entrance level police training and at least every 3 years for in-service training, that training that I just laid out regarding stalking and the resources that are available for victims who may be the victim of stalking.
Okay.
All right,
thank you.
Delegate Bartlett.
Nope, he said okay, so I'm good. I was just gonna elaborate further, but he's okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Well, as long as Delegate Shoemaker's okay with it, then all right, let's see what we should do next. There was a motion and a second. Is there any further any further questions? Seeing none, the vice chair,
Yes.
Delegate Shoemaker,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erican.
Yes.
Okay, Bartlett,
I'm a yes because Delegate Shoemaker's a yes.
brings a tear to the eye here a little bit. Cardin,
I'm a yes.
Conaway is excused. Cox,
Yes.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Juanita Fisher,
I'm a yes because Delegate Bartlett's a yes.
Delegate Grammer,
I'm a yes because Delegate Fisher is a yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
McComas,
Yes.
Munoz,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes.
Tolles,
Yes.
Williams.
And I'm a yes because Grammar's a yes.
Oh. 20, that is adopted. That finishes what we have to do right now. I'm sure we'll be back probably at different points during the day. So stay tuned for further voting sessions. But for now, that concludes the voting session for the House Judiciary Committee.
Mr. Chair, please, before we
Yes.
go, I apologize. I was reviewing SB 377. Can I fix my vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Pam is a no.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Thank you.
Same for me, Mr. Chair.
Shoemaker is a no.
Same for me, Mr. Chair.
Munoz is a no.
And me too. McComas.
McComas is a no. That's fine.
Mr. Chair, I had a quick question before we end.
Yes, go ahead.
Throughout the day, will it still be voting on Zoom or will you be having us come in person?
We're going to vote on Zoom the rest of the day.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Out of
Chair.
an abundance of caution, we're going to be voting on Zoom. All right. Thank you all very much.